Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the neon-lit corporate cubicle farms, weaponized office politics, and hidden financial fraud schemes of workplace suspense, and plunge straight into the high-octane, calculation-heavy tracking grids of rain-slicked mountain passes, fractured vehicular trauma, and the fiercely protective, dangerously fragile world of a psychologically compromised asset running a raw tactical survival loop. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, panic-inducing rural perimeters of a devastating highway collision zone, the unique procedural grid of an active multi-layered local police cover-up, and the lethal analytical parameters of an intense, trust-shattering deception matrix with the night of the crash, the exceptional pulse-pounding structural masterpiece engineered by the absolute undisputed rising sovereign of neck-snapping psychological twists, unreliable memory statecraft, and high-velocity road trip paranoia, Jessica Irena Smith. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female trauma survivor asset running an unyielding safety loop, a calculating, deceptively protective local elite asset running a high-stakes proximity tracking routine, and an absolute defense of a woman's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged vehicular accident reports, corrupt small-town social gaslighting, and a deadly ring of active rural murder frame-ups while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised forest ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated proximity boundaries, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory roadside stalker network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, shattered car wreck survivor wakes with amnesia only to realize the stranger who rescued her is hiding the fatal truth of what happened on the asphalt diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Smith completely dominates the high-precision roadside debris red flags meets suffocating provincial hostility dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Gillian Flynn, B.A. Paris, Shari LaPena, and Lucy Foley, while treating realistic ballistic forensic logistics, complex behavioral alignment arcs, and protective high-density psychological extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse asset, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of massive physical trauma, acute retrograde memory blocks, and a hyper-visible targeting canvas across the region's isolated highway corridors. Behind her rigorous medical chart database footprints and tense personal history logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried high society secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Her collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of trying to survive toxic relationship vectors and navigating intense societal pressures. Her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from an aggressive vehicular shadow stalker, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her overly attentive medical caretakers, and shielding her vulnerable sanctuary nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A fatal impact event shatters her primary transit sequence, instantly cross-referencing her personal social circle with a high-level calculated malice when a missing passenger profile fails to register on the official police rescue log. As the hostile predator's execution phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across her recovery timeline, a series of dual narrative flashes charting her pre-crash secrets and her active medical confinement parallel each other. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when her independent counter-investigative maneuvers and raw analytical output reveal that her savior's hidden archival profile is radically, impossibly altering the collision task force's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine roadside rescue and peaceful civilian compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonist run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active and visible war across the provincial elite's wealthiest circles, where deceptive local allies masking their true identities, highly manipulative family ghosts, and a calculation-heavy psychological shadow network launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her survival data stream.
The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the isolated mountain cabins, dark hospital surveillance perimeters, and private fortified residential rooms into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant heroine is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw mental stamina to preserve her focus before his relentless, calculation-heavy proximity containment phase permanently deletes her boundaries. When deceptive regional red herrings, corrupted emergency room records, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete her path, her survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival extubation, every silent choice to stand off against an encroaching adversary behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the provincial elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Jessica Irena Smith reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial high-speed impact or managing a difficult police interrogation. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of domestic manipulation and psychopathic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient heroine must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a psychological thriller, roadside suspense noir, amnesia mystery, high-velocity contemporary puzzle masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered highway lie triggers a fatal cabin showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Smith writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, damp pine needles, burning motor oil, shattered glass, dynamic adrenaline, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary standalone marvel into elite area is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft, alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. The Night of the Crash is the definitive, pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary thriller and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.